In true fashion, our mayor is still volunteering. So let's all say, Bruce! It's your big day. So we're just waiting for Bruce and some of our speakers. Yoel, make your way up here. Of course, we have the Village Project. Bert Johnson Jr., Jenica Francisco, you're here. Artist Barrington McLean, you're here. Tiffany Johnson, you're here. Raphael Payan, you're here. Bianca Koning, you are our landscape architect. If you can make yourself to the front. Mr. Ron Powell, here he is. Yes. Make your way to the front, Mr. Powell. There's a chair waiting for you. Reverend David from the Marina Methodist Church, make sure you're up front here. I'd like to welcome you all to Marina. My name is Christina Medina Dirksen, and the program, before it was fixed, said Mayor Pro Team, which is actually very fitting since we are a wonderful team here. I am Mayor Pro Tem. So first of all, I'm welcoming you today to Marina, to our vibrant city on behalf of my city council that is standing here behind me, but should be standing beside me. We've got Kathy Biala, Elizabeth Fisher, Brian McCarthy, and Mayor Bruce Delgado. I think he holds the record as the longest serving mayor in the county, if not the state. We welcome you warmly to our city. What you see around you today is historic. We were expecting 800 people, maybe the rain shooed them away, but the sunshine is here and you're here. But it's also a culmination of two men's dreams, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and the late Leonard Page, whose family is here with us today. I'll be serving as your MC, but just giving you a little perspective today. Is what you see here is the work of hundreds of volunteers, our amazing city staff, our community, you, that have come together and prepared what is finally happening, and that's giving homage to these two men, Dr. King and Mr. Page. This is not just a statue we're going to show you today, but it's a statement. It's a statement that you'll hear from many speakers, including the artist Barrington McLean himself, one of the first African-American artists of prominence. You'll hear a speaker from Mr. Page's family, and they'll take you and Mr. Bert Johnson Jr., a community leader who grew up here. And what we're going to show you, we're going to take you on a journey of the past, Marina. Many of you have deep roots, and some of you are new to our community, and we welcome you, and we embrace all of you. We're going to be telling you about a safe space and a welcoming space that honors Dr. King's legacy of inclusivity. Included in that inclusivity is what you see as flags from every state in the nation, and a sampling of 25 international flags of nations, which I'd like to point out, the Korean community is with us today. Members of this community have done so much to break barriers, coming over, some of them as war brides, and being prominent business people, as well as other Mr. Page and African community members, but our Korean community has done much to break those barriers. I'd like to make a few acknowledgments of our elected officials who are here with us, including our own Tina Nieto, Sheriff. I see representatives from Don Addis's office, Dominic Durso with Revis's office. Well, he might be okay. Representatives from our school board, our parks district, even other cities. Seaside is here with us. Our supervisors, Askew and Alejo. And if I'm forgetting more people, I'm very sorry. I just meant to give a broad acknowledgement of our electeds that came to celebrate with us today. Lastly, our sponsors. We have some very generous sponsors that have made today possible. Bianca Koning Collective, Marina Youth Arts, the Wallace Group, Spring Hill Suites, Marriott's, Mr. Dodwell, Monterey Peninsula Engineering, Talent Capital, the Park District Sea Haven Fund, the Marina Foundation, and many, many individual donors. They provide the backing for financial backing. Lastly, I really want to acknowledge one last person who's here with us, and this is somebody who has just joined us, and in her short time, she has made an incredible impact, and that would be our new rec director, Andrea Weiler, who's in the back. What her and her team have accomplished is just short of incredible. So I want to introduce her and make sure you all get to meet her. So with that, and Mr. Carl Waller, as I spoke with him earlier today, our opening of the brass tap, you know what I told him. He's going to continue the legacy of why don't you stand up, Mr. Waller? He's opening a new business in town, and as I told him, Mr. Page led the way for many jobs and opportunities for people in our community as a African-American businessman, and we look forward to you doing the same, and maybe we'll be here in 15 years for something you'll dedicate. So, I went a little long there. I'm going to go ahead. Next up is introduce our national anthem. Singer, his name is Yoel Sanchez. Yoel, are you with us here? Here you are. So he's going to go ahead and sing the national anthem. Yay!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reckless, the bounds bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
That young man has a dream as well. His dream is to sing at a Giants game. So if anybody has any contacts, please see Yoel Sanchez. Next up, we have a very, very special invocation presentation from the Village Project. You're on.
All right. Thank you for having us. It's such a pleasure to be here. My name is Jamel Jones. I am a cultural warrior healer for the Emiyata Project, and I'm representing the Village Project. I'm also a site program coordinator for a tutorial program. And so these are our young warriors, and today we will be commencing with libation.
Hotep, which means the God in me greets the God in you. We are the Eminyala Warriors with the Village Project, and today we will be doing a libation, which is honoring our ancestors. We'll pour water for our ancestors and say, I bring libation to. Please join our warriors in saying Ashe, which means and so it is, following each libation. I bring libation to my grandfather Samba Jalo.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my cousin Deleon Johnson.
Ashe.
I bring libation to George Floyd.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my auntie Larissa.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my dad Tony.
Ashe.
I bring libation to Rosa Parks.
Ashe.
I bring libation to Martin Luther King.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my grandpa Melvin.
Ashe.
I bring libation to King Tut.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my grandma Johnny.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my grandma Lori.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my uncle Tom.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my uncle Terrence.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my cousin Brandy.
Ashe.
I bring libation to Kobe.
Ashe.
I bring libation to Pastor Mickey.
Ashe.
I bring libation to my grandma St. Pat.
Ashe.
I give libation to my Aunt Pat.
Ashe.
So now we will begin our special thank you. Okay, so on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Asante Sana, which means thank you in Swahili. But before I close out, I do want to recognize a few folks that made this all possible for us. Our co-founder of the Village Project, Miss Regina Mason. Our former executive clinical director and clinical director, Elder Mason. Also co-founder of the Village Project. And so now we will lead by closing out. Okay, so I will lead us in. I am the child of my parents, the hope of my grandparents, and the legacy of my ancestors. Let us go forth and be the best we can be. Ashe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jamel. It was beautiful. And I mostly appreciate that it's another community coming here, Seaside. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Our next speaker grew up in Marina. He's a community leader, and I think he's going to take you on a journey of where we've been and where we're going in his eloquent words. I present to you Bert Johnson, Jr.
Thank you, Councilmember Dirksen, Honorable Mayor and council members, and special guests. Good morning. Truly a special and memorable day for the city and community of Marina. I am grateful to speak before you today, honoring the legacy of a man whose vision and wisdom helped to guide and give hope to generations. This beautiful sculpture offers a special place for all to come and reflect. I believe that when change is represented by time, it may not be fast or soon enough, When articulated as a journey, the path may not be a straight line. There are often turns, detours, even delays. However we view change, it is the forward movement that offers us hope. In 1965, Dr. King's speech at the conclusion of a tragic yet historic march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, he spoke about change and the pace of change. He demonstrated both wisdom and vision in 4 simple and timeless words. How long? Not long. Many have sacrificed even their lives. Change has its own timetable. Patience and perseverance are key. In preparation for today, Mayor Pro Tem Dirksen asked that I share reflections from my youth living in Marina, contrasting yesterday and today. Yesterday. Longtime Peninsula residents may recall that in the late 1950s, as part of its continuing integration, the Army assigned many interracial couples and families to Fort Ord. The growing communities of Marina and Seaside gained many different peoples and their cultures, to include Japanese, Filipino, Korean, German, and Black. My mother was from the Philippines. We came to Seaside in the early 1960s. My father retired from the Army and we moved to Marina in 1966. Our parents believed that Monterey County was the best place to raise our large family. As part of my journey to the past, I drove off of Rhinedollar into Eddy's Circle, stopping in front of our old house, walking the grounds of Marina Vista, Los Arbos, and over to St. Jude, our family church. Memories came back. At that time, there were no more than 20 Black families with school-aged children in Marina. In the schools, there were not many children that looked like me. In the 8th grade, we welcomed our first teacher of color. More families of color continued to arrive. For us, it was a time of awareness and hope, guided by the words of Dr. King. My small group of Black and brown friends represented extended family. Always there for each other. We were tight. At that time in Marina and prior to incorporation, many working parents and veterans served as community leaders and organizers for youth activities. We would often visit friends on the former Fort Ord housing areas. These neighborhoods were filled with children of the rainbow, playing in yards and at school. Today, the reconstructed neighborhoods are handsome with well-designed streets, with community centers and parks that provide open spaces for residents. Today, there are many new stores, the Veterans Transition Center, the clinic, the MPC campus, CSUMB, the Wellness Center are all important infrastructure assets. Today, the city has active boards and commissions providing valued input. The K-12 schools have teachers that look like their students. Their activities are inclusive by design. Today, the city's leadership engages, honors, and celebrates the diversity of its entire community. It takes commitment and courage to act on change. The leaders of Marina and the extended community have demonstrated their intention to do so. For all of us gathered here today, challenges remain. Forward movement will need to continue. Truthful history will measure success with the same yardstick for all peoples. So for tomorrow, and in closing, 50 years from now, where are those youth? 50 years from now, some of you gathered may recall this memorable celebration of Dr. King and his legacy. Whether your life's journey keeps you close or takes you far from here, I challenge you to take an active role by listening to Dr. King's How Long, Not Long speech. And if you're moved, then determine where you focus on the you. You will make a difference and commit yourself, for it will take all of us working together to fulfill Dr. King's dream. Thank you.
As Mr. Johnson took you down his path, I'd like to introduce Jenica Francisco. She's a Marina High School student and a member of the service club known as the Key Club.
Hello, Marina community. As I was introduced, my name is Jenica Francisco. I am the Key Club president from Marina High School. If you don't know what Key Club is, it is a Kiwanis-funded organization where high school students get to volunteer in their community, and in doing so, we strengthen our core values of being a leader, being caring, and being inclusive. Going to Marina High School and living in Marina for most of my life, I have grown to really love the diversity here. I have the opportunity to meet so many different people from different cultures, different backgrounds and religions, and this made it incredibly easy to be inclusive. This would not have been possible, though, without leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. Himself and other leaders teach us not only to be inclusive to everyone, but to learn to advocate for ourselves and others. My family and I moved to America when I was 4. I learned about Martin Luther King Jr. and his bravery in kindergarten and found that no matter who I was or what I came from, I can speak up. And by his speakings, I can make a difference. Knowing so many different people, I remind myself to stay educated and be inclusive to everyone. Let this statue be a reminder for us all to fight for our rights, advocate for yourself and others, be inclusive, and to not turn a blind eye. It is important to fight for equality and justice for those who have been wrongly oppressed and still are to this day. I hope we try our best to stay educated and open-minded. We shouldn't be afraid of people who are different than us. Instead, we must welcome them and help them embrace the very thing that makes them unique. Being here in Marina, I am so glad to be surrounded by so many different cultures. I find myself so educated, and I appreciate every single one of you for coming out today. And yeah, thank you.
Our future is very bright. People like Jenica. Next, I'm going to introduce you to Barrington McLean. He is the artist who designed this bust in working with Mr. Leonard Page. He knew Mr. Leonard Page personally, and together they've created a monument to progress, equity, and diversity. Welcome, Mr. Barrington McLean.
Thank you all for coming. It blesses my heart to see everyone here so happy and smiling and so different variety of people. But it's sweet. Sorry. This is a dream of mine as a little boy when Mom would take me out on Sunday mornings. And I sit in the park there, similar like this. We just sit and she'd have me with her friends, and her friends had kids just like, so she's talking to her friends and I'm talking to her friends. They have a good time. But anyway, there's these monuments that I'd be studying these things like crazy. I'm just about 5-6 years old, but I'm really trying to figure out how did I do that. It's a big thing, it's beautiful. I'm walking around it and stuff like that. And I was just imagining today, I'm looking back, there's someone walk way back there. But the images that I was looking at was more like Christopher Columbus, mostly Christopher Columbus and other people that came by to save countries and discover things. Hello. But anyway, I didn't know that part. I was just looking at the people and stuff like that. As I got older, I got to learn about it. But the technical part and the artistic part were my concerns. And I just grew up, I was discovered as a child, at the same time, about 6-7 years old, I was discovered by the secret mask makers of the carnival. We grew up in Panama. And I was brought into this secret society by these elders. But every little thing that I was share with them, was I had to keep quiet about it and just go back to the village and be quiet. But everywhere else from that point on, people would discover me and push me along and drop little things for me to do. And I was a little artist in town, the little guy that could do things for the cabinet makers and whomever needed some stuff that dress designers. I would work with dress designers. That was fun. So I always had a little money in my pocket all the time. But anyway, the point is, just to come into all the way to this part of the world and being discovered by Leonard Page, I heard about this person down there from Larry Fisher. He wanted to do something large like this. And he figured, well, he wanted to be done by somebody that was like me, my color. And I was the person. And then when we got together and that and stuff like that, and they asked me what I'm going to charge for it, so I charged them a certain amount of money. And Mr. Page said, well, I don't have that kind of money. That's a lot of money. I said, we can't afford that. And I said, well, that's what I can do. Anyway, Larry Fisher then had another meeting with us. And Larry Fisher then said, Larry Fisher was the person who had the foundry over here, who cast the thing. And Larry Fisher told me, after Mr. Page came back, he says, well, Mr. Page, what I could do is I could only cast one with the monies that you get. And the only way we can get it done is with Mr. McLean here working on it, actually creating the thing. Let me see if I can talk Mr. McLean into maybe just doing it, and I will cast another one so that he can have a second piece, and I'll pay him with the piece. I can't give him any money, Mr. Page said I can't give any more money. So I thought about it, I said, well, that doesn't sound fair. I'm going to work on this thing all this time, and this is something big. I need to get paid. So I said, I had to think about it. I said, I'm going back to Santa Cruz, and I'm driving around the road. And maybe about half an hour or so into the drive back to Santa Cruz, I said, fool, this is what you want to do, don't you? Well, what's going to cost you? You want to get the piece, but at some point somebody's going to buy it. So when I got to Santa Cruz, I called Larry and said, I'll take it. So we signed a little contract and everything like that. And I did two. I cast they got the piece done, and I cast two waxes, and two waxes. I cast the two waxes, and ended up with two bronzes. Anyway, at the end of the whole story, this is the first piece here, and I got my piece back in Santa Cruz, and it's at Cabrera College. And interestingly enough, the person that bought it from me, he was Chinese. And his family had business down here in this part of the town, over here, and they moved back to Santa Cruz because they got pushed out of here, sort of, politically. And he ends up there with buying land and building more stuff there in Santa Cruz. And he bought it, and he put it up there as a point. And he remembered, he said, without Dr. King, we would not have been able to get the funds from the bank, because we were all blacklisted, quote unquote, blacklisted from getting any kind of monies. And when they had the equal opportunity situation, that's all we got in. And Mr. Page is talking about the same thing about being inclusive. And so I'm very fortunate to be a part of this progressive movement toward inclusivity. And thanks again for coming. And I don't want to keep you guys here too long. Thank you.
Thank you for the inspiration in the story. Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Johnson's family. We've got his great-grandson here, his daughter, and his granddaughter. Tiffany Johnson, his granddaughter.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mayor, council members, and esteemed guests. I stand before you today as granddaughter of Leonard and Carrie Page. individuals whose lives were defined by unwavering dedication to community and profound commitment to family values. In this brief moment, I'd like to share a glimpse of their remarkable legacy. My grandparents were not ordinary individuals. They were extraordinary in their belief that a thriving community and strong families were the cornerstone of a better society. They live this belief every day, and it's this legacy of theirs that continues to inspire my family, and I hope all of us today. Leonard and Carrie understood that a united family and a close-knit community were the foundations of a united society. Their dedication to their own family and their active involvement in community building served as an example to all of us. But it wasn't their philanthropy that made them special. It was their unwavering belief in the strength of family bonds and the importance of community. Together, they were a force for good in Marina. Leonard Page was the founder of Page's Security Services, Inc., and he was much more than just a businessman. His philanthropic efforts were broad-reaching. He supported local initiatives that aimed to uplift the lives of Marina's residents, whether it was helping underprivileged youth, contributing to educational programs, or supporting local charities. He was dedicated to improving the lives of others. He was a visionary who recognized the power of giving back. The choice of Dr. King for this piece of art and the donation to their community was intentional. This bust is not just a symbol, it's a representation of the aspirations and dreams of a better world that my grandparents, Dr. King, and countless others have shared. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, to stand up for what is right, and to create a society where justice and equality prevail. Today, as we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose values of unity, justice, and equality resonated deeply with my grandparents' beliefs, our family is honored to continue their legacy. In making this donation, my grandparents hope to inspire future generations to carry forward the torch of philanthropy, unity, and justice. May this bust of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. serve as a beacon of hope for the residents of Marina and a reminder that together we can continue the work of those who came before us. We are honored to see this dream become a permanent fixture in the city of Marina. As my grandfather envisioned this more than 20 years ago, we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to the city of Marina and its residents for making this possible. Thank you all for being here to celebrate the enduring legacy of Leonard and Carrie Page and the timeless values of Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you.
I may very well put her on the spot, but Gainell Page, would you mind standing? Yes, and your great grandson, and your family, please. We're here because of you. This is long overdue. Thank you. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Mr. Raphael Payan. He is the director of the Monterey Peninsula Regional Parks District.
Good morning, all. How are you doing? Yeah? Before I go on, I want to thank the city of Marina, who was brave to create this wonderful statue. And some of you may not know, the statue has been here a while. It was located in a part of the park where it was often disrespected, where it was abused, where it was forgotten. But again, the great vision and visionaries that is the city of Marina, they created this wonderful statue. I want to thank the designer of the statue as well, who brought art, but reality to this. And I want to thank the builders, the folks who made this possible. So before I start, let's give them a big round of applause. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell a little bit of a personal story of when I was a kid. But before that, I want to say On behalf of my family and friends far away in the Apache Highlands and Navajo Plains of Arizona, Dagate Asho, my mom's family, I want to say from the great state of Chihuahua, Mexico, bienvenidos, amigos. And as my teachers taught me when I learned English, hello, friends. So again, thank you. When we look at this, we celebrate many things. We said the the national anthem. We sang it beautifully a few minutes ago. Another truth that we hold evident is our Pledge of Allegiance. Wonderful, incredible words that were penned in the 1800s, late in the 1800s, and they're revised to mirror the words that we say today. The Pledge of Allegiance reminds us that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beautiful words, beautiful inspiration and aspiration. We're not there yet, but we will be there one day. And we cannot stop that battle to do the right thing. When I was a child, growing up right off of an army base that my dad had served on, what would happen at 5 o'clock in the evening on a weekday is my parents would get us together, my sister and I, and they would sit us in front of this big old black and white TV, actually not big old, real small. And my dad would do this every day. Didn't change anything, didn't make anything better, but he'd be out there fumbling with the antennas, trying to make it better. And some of you may remember. And finally, after he finished muttering, he'd sit down, and the TV screen looked as bad as it did the day before, but he felt satisfied that he had tried. So my mom and my dad would sit in the couch behind us. My sister and I would sit in front of the tube, and it was a 5 o'clock news. We would watch, because they didn't have instant TV today, that we have today, but we would be watching what had happened the week before, sometimes a month before. And we would watch the atrocities of inhumanity here in the States, but around the world. And as we would watch that, my sister and I would sit there quietly. And then one day, they were filming or showing a film that went way back when. The bridge in Selma. Anybody remember that? The bridge in Selma and that event that changed the world. A while later, we were watching the Dr. Martin Luther King on television. And Mr. King, Dr. King, Reverend King, reminded us of several things. And as we were watching them, a few days later, or a few weeks later, a few months later, as we were watching the news, we saw him being gunned down. And along with him, about that time, 2 other great leaders were gunned down. They were killed not only by the bullets that struck them, but the anger, the inhumanity, the prejudice, and the ugliness of humanity. And they sacrificed for us. But their legacy lives on, especially Dr. King's lives on. So when Mom would sit there, and being little children, because again, we were very small children back in the 60s, and my mom would sit back there, and as we were there, awestruck with our mouths open, terrified, my sister and I, because again, we're little kids. In the back, behind us, I would hear my mom often say this while we watched the news, while we waited for the 6 o'clock local news. My mom was inspired by holiness, heavenly holiness, Hollywood, and her words. First she would say, do not be afraid. Do not fear, but be of brave courage. And then she would follow it up with Hollywood. What became Hollywood? Do the right thing. And then she would wrap it up with her famous saying, keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't quit. Keep going. So we would watch television, and I'm going to read this. I apologize. I don't want to get this wrong. We would hear and we heard Dr. King as he would remind us, no matter what the challenges were, he would say, sometimes doing the right thing is difficult, but there comes a time when we must take a position that is neither safe, nor politically correct, nor popular. But we must take it because our conscience tells us that it is right. And it was right, and it continues being right. As we go forward, we must realize that we can't change yesterday. But guess what? We can change today. We can change today in hopes of changing tomorrow. That's up to all of us. That is all up to us. In closing, I'm not going to sing because, man, my voice is terrible. In fact, I have a family member here. I'm not even allowed to sing in the shower. So that's how bad this is. So before everybody runs out, I'm not going to sing. But I will read these words that inspired many and continue to inspire me many years after they were written. In fact, these words were penned when Martin Luther King was helping us, when he was alive and he was around. Let's see if you remember some of these words right here. Again, I'm going to read them because I will forget. These words are by Mr. John Lennon. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say, I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world can live as one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Payan. We almost had a moment there where we thought it would come off here. I also just want to add, most recently, the March on Washington occurred 2 weeks ago. So why we chose this day was because all the pieces could come together. But in my mind, I think it was a very special day to mark that. Next, I would like to introduce you to Bianca Koning. She is our sculpture garden architect, and she has thought of every detail, from the words you see on the ground, to the trees, to the sounds you'll hear. Miss Bianca Koning with the Bianca Koning Collective.
Hello, Marina. This day, this sculpture, and this place, it's for you. I'm truly grateful to be part of this process, to practice creativity as my profession. But the ideas, that's the easy part. The hard part is bringing it to life. And you helped do that today. This gathering is exactly what this place was meant to be for. And also I wanted to extend thanks to, as Raphael mentioned, the builders, the tradespeople, the contractors, and Miss Elvie Camacho, who is out here, it feels like every day, giving me updates on the construction and every detail on how it touched the ground. Because that's what we want, that's what we need to go forward. We need the doers, the makers, the builders to bring these ideas to life. So thank you, Marina. Thank you for your values of diversity, sustainability, and authenticity, because this is a place where people can show up fully as they are. You are the beloved community. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. Next, I would like to introduce you to Ron Powell. He is a recreation leader here in Marina. He's been here a very long time. He's one of our gems.
Thank you for having me. I want to thank the committee who put this together, the Page family, the sculpture designer, and the community. I'm not going to take a lot of time today because I'm part of the food distribution, so I got to get over there. So I know you've been sitting here for a while, so just to kind of get you going and get your juices up, I'm gonna say MLK. You repeat it back to me 5 times, okay? MLK, 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 and MLK. Yeah. All right. So a little bit about him, and you probably know this, that he got his PhD from Boston University in 1955. His adoption of nonviolence resistance to achieve equal rights for Black Americans earned him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. And just a couple quotes from him. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Okay? And then I challenge each of you to try to make a difference in somebody's life every day. With that said, thank you all for coming.
Mr. Powell makes a difference in everyone's life. He's a coach, and somehow he managed to make collard greens for all y'all, and even the vegan ones among you. Thank you, Ron. So it looks like Mayor already would like to unveil this, but the good news is he's speaking up next, and we're almost there. I present to you Mayor Bruce Delgado.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I can die now because this is such a beautiful day, but it's pretty inspiring to be here, so I hope we can all do a lot more together. Special thanks to Vanya Quinones, our newest CSUMB president, best ever. In her invocation, she gave a lot of authentic personal stories and facts about her, and I really appreciated that honesty and vulnerability. Thank you very much, Vanya. Next to her is our wonderful County Supervisor, Wendy Root Askew, who, tirelessly is a word that you hear a lot, but she's every day, most days, working the halls of the county, trying to do good things for the people that need it the most. And her heart's on the ground and behind all of us, so we really appreciate her leadership. We have a certificate here from our 30th Assembly District Assembly person, Dawn Addis, that was brought here today by her staff person, Mauricio Arias, and we really appreciate Dawn taking the time to give us this recognition of what we're doing today. So thank you, Mauricio, for representing Dawn, who represents all of us. And I want to thank all the speakers. They've been wonderful and really heartfelt, and especially all you people that showed up today. Thank you for thinking of this as important enough to spend your time here. There are 70 volunteers that are putting this on today, not counting all the public works and police and fire and city manager and recreation folks that work for the city, most days. So we have a wonderful community with wonderful leaders and wonderful staff, and we're all very blessed that all of us can come together for a big event and a wonderful event like this. Council members Elizabeth Fisher, Brian McCarthy, Kathy Biala, Mayor Pro Tem Christina Medina Dirksen, they work very hard for you, and they are volunteers. They don't get paid but a smidgen amount of money a month, but they spend their lives and a lot of hours every week for year round. So I'd like to also take a moment to acknowledge 116 people that recently died by fire on the island of Maui, the 600 people that died yesterday by earthquake in Morocco. What we have here in Marina, our health and our family and our sunshine and our parks and our leaders, we're very, very blessed. Today is also a day to remember the shameful injustices of Native American genocide, the slavery of kidnapped African people, and the injustice to people of color into the 1950s that motivated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his quest for equal rights for all people, and also an increased respect for non-human animals. In his quest for justice, he was assassinated, so he passed his dream to our generations, and his dream of equity isn't yet a reality, we all know. Today, may we all remember his quest while we eat several of his favorite foods cooked by Kona Jerry. And I hope that today no one struggles, because the fun activities and the delicious foods are all free. But we know tomorrow many of us here and others nearby will continue a struggle to survive or to find a place of fulfillment in their life and in this world. So let this day of kindness to one another last as long as possible in our memories and inspire us to be as kind and accepting of one another as we are today. And if in the future we begin to forget why it's important to be accepting of one another, let's return to this place and read the engraved quotations on these beautiful black marble panels around this sculpture to renew our memory of other struggles that do connect with our own struggles so that together we can better face the world's challenges. Today we're fortunate to eat the cooked food of Ron Powell, who spoke earlier, Coco Moeller, who cooked 8 peach cobbler pies in her home, and of course Kona Jerry, so we can celebrate the art created in 2000 and restored 20 years later by Barrington McLean. And so we can thank Leonard Page and his beautiful family, who initially paid for the art. Thanks to Terry Segrist, rest in peace, who's not here today, but had a lot to do with why we're here and this statue. The public works crew that's often behind the scenes, doing everything that we need to survive and a quality of life experience in Marina, including the parks and these ceremonies. And all the donors who made the restoration of Barrington's sculpture possible, the Marina Foundation, and our city manager, Lane Long, who worked closely with Terry Segrist to get it all done. This concludes my remarks, and thanks again, everyone, for being here today. This also concludes today's ceremony, and I'd like to next to invite Andrea up. Andrea, as Christina said, is our Recreation and Cultural Services Department Director, as was Terry Segrist. So Andrea, if you could come up and tell us how the buffet is going to work, how the hot dogs and pizza will be served, and then we'll invite our speakers and City Council to come up so that together the speakers and the City Council can unveil this artwork. And then afterwards, please enjoy the buffet featuring Martin Luther King's favorite foods.
So if you have a blue band, go ahead and stand up and make your way over. Oh, the unveiling. I was busy working, sorry.
Janelle Johnson said we do the blessing first, so that's how it will be.
I'd like to introduce Pastor David from the Marina United Methodist Church. He is new to our community, so I'd like to give him a warm welcome as he blesses this meal.
Hello everyone. Pastor David Gang, who is serving 2 churches, Marina United Methodist Church and also Kona Korean United Methodist Church. Actually, I'm Korean American, so, well, I'm not going to preach. I'm going to pray for this event and this meal. Most recently, I moved away Kansas. So officers, still I have the Kansas plate. So don't chase me, don't catch me, but I have temporary plate from DMV, okay? Well, just God's blessing, fortunately I have lived in the US several different places, Dallas, Texas, and California, Los Angeles, California, including Kansas. But I'm not going to drive like in Los Angeles or Dallas, Texas, okay? But I'm going to drive like Kansas in Marina. Thank you so much. And then this morning we got some rains, right? I thought it seems like God's blessing for this free community event, but also to commemorate the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dedication, legacy, in his ministry, not only for this country, but also for the kingdom of God. So it's time to pray for this meal, and then Miss Medina has asked me that to speak Korean a little bit for the Korean resident here.
안녕하세요. 저는 데이빗 강 목사라고 합니다. 이곳에 부임한 지 2달 정도 됐고요. 가나안 연합감리교회와 마리나 연합감리교회를 담임하고 있는 한국인 목사입니다. 앞으로 뵙게 되면 또 인사드리겠습니다.
Thank you. Let's pray. Loving God, the blessing of this company is a good gift from you. We thank you that we can enjoy this meal together with our neighbors right now. Lord, you give us life and breath and everything, and we show our thanks in our gratitude and love. Before we enjoy this food, before us, we want to beseech you on behalf of those who are hungry, that you might have mercy on them. May you provide their daily needs. Please use your people to extend hands of help to them. Make us have eyes to see how we can be loving those around us too. Oh Lord, we are grateful for this meal that we can share in the celebration, not only for commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dedication, but also to celebrate the free community event today. We pray in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
So this is the big moment, and I'm wondering if this should be a community moment. So I'd like to invite our city council members, our leaders, our children, and anybody who'd like to come up here and be part of this. Why don't you join me up here as we unveil the cloth? And after that, we're going to have a reading of, I know you all want to eat, and we'll get there in a second, but there's some plaques here that I'd like Melissa Mejia, who oversees the library as our branch director, to read. I'm sorry, branch manager. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so we have two plaques, and I'm going to read them as folks come up so we can do the unveiling. So for the first plaque, we have City of Marina, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Sculpture Garden, in recognition of the Marina community and the Monterey Peninsula Regional Park District for their visioning, sponsorship, and volunteer efforts. September 9th, 2023, that's Tuesday. Thank you for creating this safe and reflective haven for all to share. From Barrington C. McLean, the sculpture. And then we have the Sculpture Habitat at Marina expresses appreciation to Mr. and Mrs. Leonard Page for their generous donation of the bronze bust of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in May 2001. That was the original day of the donation. So thank you. All right, here we go. Let's count down. 5, 4, this way. 3, 2, this way. 1. Let's do this. Pull it. He wants to hide. There it is. Thank you all for being. We appreciate your time, your effort to be here on this historic day.
Very good.